Hari Om. Warm welcome to everybody who's joining on Facebook and online. समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. We'll begin with Gita Dhyanam. You can open your Bhagavad Gita books or find it online and we'll chant together. Om Parthaya Pratibodhita Om Parthaya Pratibodhita Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Graditam Puran All right. Again, a warm welcome to everybody for our first satsang and class on Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. And for those of us who are joining us for the first time, it may be not a surprise that we've just finished chapter 1. And so where do we pick up from? The last chapter, entitled by the saints and sages as Arjuna Vishada Yoga, chapter 1, which was called the Yoga of Arjuna's sorrow or dejection, has completed. And that has set the stage now for Bhagavan Shri Krishna to teach Arjuna, and really over the shoulders of Arjuna teach all of us. So, triggered by his own weakness of heart, brought out by Bhagavan Shri Krishna himself, Arjuna collapsed on the battlefield. And that collapse, physically, mentally, emotionally, that collapse is the same collapse or sorrow that we all feel. This is the connection that has to be made from chapter 1. And that dejection, sorrow, anxiety, neurosis, depression, fear, escapism, rationalization, and all of the symptoms that Arjuna just displayed in chapter 1 have to be dealt with by Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And Bhagavan is going to do that with words. He's going to remove our sorrow and Arjuna's sorrow through a discussion, question and answer. So, the first chapter becomes a yoga of sorrow, that is the title. How? Yoga comes from the word yuj, meaning to unite. And basically and fundamentally, the scriptures explain that Arjuna has sorrow, and every one of us, every jiva has sorrow, fundamentally because we do not recognize our infinitude, our oneness with Bhagavan, with the higher reality. At the base level, this is the truth. This is not immediately recognized by anybody, but Bhagavan is all pervasive, and we are part and parcel of that Lord. And even though we feel and think that we are separate and suffering all types of problems, it is just a feeling. It is just an idea. It is just a concept. That is not the truth in life. There is really nowhere, in no circumstance, where we could be away from God. Even if we tried to run away from the one infinite connectedness that we are a part of, even if we try and run away, there will be nowhere to run. Because Bhagavan is all pervasive. So, we fall into sorrow because of a lack of such an understanding at the fundamental level. And that sorrow itself is the method that is there in life for us to come out of it. How wonderful. Sorrow is not purposeless. As the title indicates, Arjuna also is going to get this knowledge from Bhagavan. He's going to seek this knowledge, first of all, from Bhagavan, because he has sorrow. And that speaks to a truism about life. At no point do we grow, evolve, seek a better solution than when we are in sorrow. It is said that the greatest enemy to happiness is the happy slave. To be a slave is generally not enjoyable. But if you can make that slave happy with his terrible environment and experience, well, then you have a slave forever. And many of us actually suffer as happy slaves until we realize, no, I don't want to live in this. And it is commonly seen many times when governments all over the world try and renovate and build up their country. There will be areas that are called as slums. Everywhere in the world they have. And when they come and they introduce, well, no, we are going to rebuild this area and put beautiful buildings and institutions and all of that. Inevitably, those who've been living there in those conditions, they revolt. I know there isn't proper, I know I'm not getting proper education and there's not proper drainage and there's not proper electricity or whatever, right? And this qualifies as a slum in everybody's eyes. But I like it. I don't want it to change. So that person becomes an enemy of his own progress. Correct or not? Now, this is not, I'm not speaking about any one country in particular or anything like that. I'm saying that's a phenomenon. The point is, only when we recognize the sorrow that we're in, does that sorrow make us want to grow. And when we feel happy, we don't grow. See, now is Christmas time across North America. And in every city, here very much in Georgetown also, Guyana, but I know in Toronto, in New York, they have Christmas Village, right? And then in a few months from now, they have, in February in the Caribbean, Mashramani in Guyana, and Carnival in TT, and different things. Family Day in Toronto, right? And in all of those times, does anybody think of God? Just the other day I saw all the stalls lined up and all the food lined up and the lights and the music playing before sunset for Christmas Village in Guyana, right? Where is the place for God in that? What I'm thinking, maybe I'll try this and I can eat that, and how much money are they making, and next year we should set up a stall here, and in that, does anybody have the thought that I'm one with the reality and I should dedicate my life to the service of that Lord? No, we're enjoying. Does anybody pray to the Lord at that? No, what you find is the deepest and the strongest prayers coming from the halls of the hospital, right? Or the homes of people during wake and all that type of thing. The point is, sorrow is very essential for the evolution of every being. Tension, stress, sorrow is where organisms evolve. But there is such a thing as suffering sorrow in vain. Correct or not? We can stub our toe on the edge of the table only to stub our toe on the edge of the table again. We can lose our keys in the car only to lose our keys in the car again. We suffered all this thing only to suffer. We can get addicted to one thing, come out of it only to get addicted to something else. There is such a thing as suffering sorrow in vain. So that vishad, which is giving you the dejection and the true sorrow that we all experience, has to be accompanied by something in order to lead us out. And that thing is satsang. That thing is association with true, noble beings and ideas and what we call the satsang, coming to study scripture. The truth. When a person in sorrow finds clarity in how to get out of it and why I'm in this sorrow, and really understands the reasons and the feelings involved, they transform. But as long as we're blaming, or sticking our head in the sand, or misidentifying what the problem is, we remain in sorrow in vain. The sorrow didn't serve us. Now, Arjuna's sorrow specifically was that, well, it can be rephrased. Imagine Guyana and one of our neighbors goes to war. Say Suriname. Goes to war. Or in your respective country, Canada and the US go to war, or wherever, right? And then the captain on the front lines of the battlefield, after the war has been declared, recognizes that on the other side, That is their cousin brother. Suppose you have a cousin brother who moved to Suriname. And that brother or cousin of yours is standing there as the head of that side. And then on this side of your country, that army-in-chief now says, you know what? I don't want to fight. And the army-in-chief on your side, well, he is a warrior par excellence. He's come up through the ranks. He's demonstrated at every level. He's known in the whole country as the leader, as an exemplary on the world stage, as a brave hero. And that fellow has fallen to his knees, and he has tears running from his eyes, and he has put down his rifle, and he says, you know, war is no good. And he gives a long dissertation on why, if we kill the other side, how that will lead to the degradation of society, and he wants to run. Where the example breaks down is that in this Mahabharata war, the other side, the Kauravas, were hell-bent on the destruction of everybody else. They're ready to break all laws of humanity in service of their own pleasure. And they had done so already to the Pandavas many times. So his arguments about the loss of Kula Dharma, the family traditions, and then values, and then women losing their wonderful opportunity to raise the next generation, and the breakdown of the passing down of knowledge through families and professions through families. Long dissertation he gives, which is all very sound argument, doesn't apply because these Kauravas on the other side, they're going to break all that anyways. They have been breaking it anyways. So he's using great, great wisdom in the wrong place. And he's doing it, all of it, why? Because he doesn't want to live in a life where in the future, where he doesn't have his people with him. So you have basically in his mind tremendous sorrow. No matter which way he turns, if he fights this battle, he's going to face sorrow. He cannot see that those people on the other side, that brother of his, or in the case of the example, that army chief was seeing his brother. In Arjuna's example, so many individuals there were his relatives. And Guru also. Bhishma Pitamaha, who taught him so many things, his Guru. Dronacharya, who taught him so many things in warfare. So his Gurus are on the other side. He cannot see that the truth of the matter is that everybody is equally connected to everybody else. He is thinking, no, I'm only connected to a few people, and trying to, with that wrong thinking, with that confusion, with that delusion, he is getting sorrow now. Delusion can cause sorrow, you know. Some wrong thought can cause sorrow. I imagine sometimes, whenever this topic comes up, can you imagine the sorrow that Christopher Columbus's mother would have felt? He's an Italian or a Spaniard. I can't remember now. Someone can correct me in my comments. He is a European who can't get money from his own kingdom. He has to go seeking from another kingdom because everybody around him in the whole country or kingdom believes that the earth is flat. And the mother must be thinking, my stupid son is the only one who thinks the world is round, and he is going to get on a boat and he's going to go over the edge. And so when I see him cross the horizon, well, that's the last of Beta Columbus. So she's wrong, but that delusion would have created true sorrow in her heart or not? Tremendous sorrow, and it wouldn't leave her also. And how many future thoughts could... Why did I take him to those science classes? Why did I make him so ambitious? Or whatever. And then, so delusion can create sorrow. And specifically, here, we are all connected to everyone. In fact, in Guyana and above the 49th parallel, you have to say, in Canada, when it is this time of the year, both places are very, very much connected because so much of the food in Toronto and New York comes from abroad. For 8 months of the year, you eat food made from other people. And here in Guyana, so many things are imported. People use imported things for everything, starting from cars, going up, everything. So everything we have with us is given to by the world. So we're not connected to them or not? Like that. Our shirt, our pants, our jewelry, our money, the wallet in which we hold the money, all of it comes from the world. So Arjuna now has the call of duty to stand up and fight for that same world who's giving him everything. And in our Shastras, duty supersedes everything. And he wants to run away from that duty because he thinks, well, I will lose something of mine. And not just something, I will lose my people. How will I even, and he will tell now in chapter 2, how will I even enjoy life thereafter? So it is not fake sorrow, it is real sorrow he's suffering. Now this, from chapter 2 to 18, the next 17 chapters are dedicated to what is called in Sanskrit the Shoka Moha Nivarana, the removal of sorrow and its cause, moha. You can say delusion, and ignorance, which is the real cause of such delusion. Actually, there is nothing else we want in life except to remove sorrow. I mentioned in the past, even horror movies are enjoyable when you're not afraid. Huh? And every creature is trying to remove sorrow. But for the human being, luckily, we are more aware of the causes of that sorrow. And we feel all degrees of different sorrow more than everybody else, all the other creatures. The ashram here in Guyana is in a village called Monarpo. And Monarpo is a long, long time market village. So there are so many people who make their living in the market. Some of them are butchers, some of them grow chickens, some of them bring vegetables, different things that they all do, right? So on a Saturday morning, all the vendors are getting ready to go to the market. And so the chicken vendor, he will be sharpening his cleaver the night before, right? And one by one, he'll be lining up those chicken. And same for every other butcher. Now just think, the animals who are squabbling there beside, like if you throw some feed for the chicken, they all go running, right? And one by one, he picks them up. So even though their turn is next, they're squabbling over who's going to get the next few grains. So they have no thought or concern, this life as a chicken is terrible. Every Sunday I lose a few of my family members, every Saturday. No, they can't see beyond the few grains that are there in front of them, even though their turn is next. But the human being has an intellect, so he can see, oh, wait a minute, there is some inevitable sorrow in life. And what is the way out? And what is the cause? So the human being is in a unique position actually to remove sorrow. But we live not like that. One man was chasing a fire truck down the street, over to the next street, over to the next street. 3 streets he chased that fire truck. And then finally took off his hat and he threw it on the ground and he stamped on it and he says, "Keep your blasted ice cream." We live our life like that. When you come to satsang, when we're both in satsang, we get a moment to reflect on what is going on in this world, why am I in this position that I'm in, and how do I get out of it. So Arjuna is given the same predicament we are, but at its climax. all comes at one point, in one moment, right on the middle of the battlefield. He is put at odds with his my, and the related sorrow. So now in chapter 1, what is said? How does it begin now? After Arjuna just related that he is not going to fight, Sanjaya reports. What is said here now? Sanjaya is reporting to Dhritarashtra in the kingdom, in the palace, about what happened in the war, right? And so he repeats, he tells him now that Madhusudana Uvacha, Lord Krishna, Madhusudana, he spoke. What? Idam Vakyam, this statement. He spoke a statement to who? To that Arjuna, who was Kripaya Vishtam Ashrapurna Kulekshanam, who was, first you can say, Vishidantam, he was terribly sad. And further than that, Ashrapurna Akula Ikshanam, his eyes were full of tears, full of water, and they were stressed. You know, when you can see in somebody's eyes sorrow and anxiety and fear, his eyes were like that and full of tears. He was weeping and in sorrow. And Kripaya Vishtam, he was overwhelmed with kripa, with pity, meaning to say, oh, I'm going to have to face this sorrow. I'm going to have to lose this thing, these people who are my people. He had pity for himself, and he had pity for all those people who are going to die. That is the exact same pity that a police officer feels when, after giving tickets whole day to everybody, right? He now goes and he pulls over somebody, and he comes to the window and he goes, rap, 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 wind down your window. And he looks inside, and who does he see? He sees his wife. And who is in the back seat? Her son. And why were they speeding? Because they were rushing to their own birthday party. He himself is going to be late because he has to do work today. He has to be a police officer. Now he feels, what should he do? Should he give a ticket to his wife and son and make them wait when they're late for the birthday party? He'll be thinking, what I'll be hearing the rest of my life from my wife. So he says, no, and then he lets her go. He feels pity for himself, pity for his own people. But that same police officer didn't feel pity for anybody he gave tickets to before. Correct or not? So you and I, we want such a police officer in the service? In the force? No, we will all say, no, we don't want such a police officer. So that type of pity he was feeling for his side. He was casting aside the universe-given duty in exchange for his filial relationship, in exchange for what he felt was more important, me and my people, me and my future, me and my enjoyment. Like that. The scriptures outline the duties we have to do that are part and parcel of our living in this whole big universe. And those duties are not
to be done because it's there in scriptures. They're to be done because we're designed to do them. Designed to do them means by doing duty alone, the human being ennobles their soul. The human being grows. The human being reaches their true stature. That is what we're designed to do. We open up when we do that. And in exchange for that opportunity, he has taken a path which is going to disennoble his soul, lower his soul, if you want to say. So duty is not there imposed on us. When scriptures point it out, they're pointing out a fact about the universe. Just like it is the job for the bees to work all day and night, pollinating and making honey, so too it is the job of human beings to do duty like that. And it leads to our growth and evolution and happiness and posterity, the welfare of posterity, and it leads to lasting peace in our own home. All these things come. But instead of doing that thing which is available to him, he's crying, saying, why do I have to do this? And he's not a little weakling who cries. He is a big, powerful, world-renowned warrior who's crying. Such an accomplished person has been brought to his knees. And the idea there, whenever we see Arjuna cry, because it's Arjuna who's crying, you have to think, well, if life can bring Arjuna to his knees, it can certainly bring little old me to my knees. It doesn't matter if I have a degree, or if I have good connections, or if I have a lot of possessions or money in the bank. If I have not learned what Sri Krishna is going to teach to Arjuna, means if I have not made my life more spiritual, if I don't find my life really on the path towards mukti, like that, then all my knowledge and degrees and connections and wealth and all of that is not going to do anything for me. It will all fail me, and I will suffer just like Arjuna suffered. And this is not hard to see in life. Parents tell their children to go ahead, be like the modern soccer star. And every generation has their own soccer star, right? Or a music celebrity, or other professional athlete, or great businessman. You just have to go back every generation. There's a whole line of people that the world says, emulate, yes, be like them. Then a few decades later, you look back, you go back and look for your soccer star, or professional athlete, or businessman, or celebrity that you worship. And almost invariably what you find, that those people with all the great accomplishments in life, when they have to face adversity, loss of notoriety, loss of health of the body, or whatever, the momentary balance and power over the world and all that they had is gone. And now you have pot-bellied individuals whose eyes have glazed over with all the drugs that they're doing, or squabbling over something small and petty, or running from death and regret and disease and old age like anybody. So they came like a flash in the pan, looked good for a little while, and ended up even worse off than a simple person, because they went to such heights. It is sad to see such great people when you at the end of life or in midlife crisis. So if you look at life as a whole, will any parent tell their child, be like this celebrity who ends up like that every time, or be like this professional athlete who ends up like that every time? No, the idea should be like Arjuna, who along the way realized that if he is going to face life's natural adversity, he's going to have spiritual strength. The truth of the matter is that only those people who have spirituality, or if you want to say purity of mind, are the ones who can take an adversity and make it into something beautiful. Consistently. There's no other quality or qualification that gives you that ability. And we need that, and we want all our children to have that. So it is not something, what is being taught to Arjuna here on the battlefield is not meant to be taught when somebody retires or when they become older. It needs to be taught to every up and coming warrior and hero of the nation. Like that. But There, like that on the battlefield. Now, what happens? These next two verses are normally chanted, like Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam, like that. But they cannot be chanted like that, because when Bhagavan now speaks, he is going to deliver to Arjuna, who is suffering delirium and about to make a tremendous mistake for the world at a watershed moment in history, the battle of the Mahabharata, and for his own, as we said, soul. He's going to make a mistake. Bhagavan Shri Krishna has to do something immediate, like first aid. He has to deliver some first aid. And when somebody, for example, is in cardiac arrest, what is the first aid you have to deliver? They have something called a defibrillator. And they teach all people who work in community centers and lifeguards and all that, how to use defibrillator. It has these two patches, and you put them in two locations like that, and then you give the person an electric shock. And if it doesn't work on the first time, you can, at least the professional, they can increase that shock. And you shock him again, and you shock him again, until he comes out of that. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna delivers a shock, an electrifying experience to Arjuna. So we'll chant these two verses. A better way than how we usually do, reflecting the shocking nature of the words. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtamasvargyam Akirti Karamarjuna Klaibyam Masmagamapartha Naitatvayupapadyate Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam Tyaktotishta Parantapa. Bhagavan Shri Krishna has a whip in his hand as a charioteer. And we chanted in our Gita Dhyanam that. He has a whip in his hand because he's a charioteer. But I have heard our Guruji say, jokingly, that he must have wanted to give Arjuna a whip also. You get that sense from the words. But he didn't need to, because his words were even more stinging than any whip. Strong words you're going to see now, right? But Arjuna won't be moved. Bhagavan is saying, what happened to you? What is wrong with you? You hear this in Guyanese also. I think this would be a wonderful verse for a real native Guyanese speaker to read. You study the words now in class, and then you come up with what this will be in Guyanese or in Trini, right? Or in Canadian. How do you say it? What wrong with you, bhai? Is the first part. Like that. What does he say? Now first, it's Shri Bhagavan Vacha. The Lord himself is speaking. Right? And that statement has to be really taken inside to our heart. This requires the invocation of our understanding and thereby faith in what it means to say that the Lord is speaking. The eternal reality, which is beyond time, kalatita, beyond space, beyond all qualities, who is ever present and all pervasive and all powerful, who had no beginning and has no end, who is the source of life for all beings, who is ever present in our heart, in every heart. That Lord, who supports every being at every moment, is now going to speak to every creature all at the same time. Through Arjuna. That Lord who's been with me for every lifetime and who will be with me, only being with me for every lifetime. To whom I make all my prayers, that Lord is going to speak. And when the Lord speaks, He speaks for the benefit of humanity. And these words, when they're chanted, they have been studied, they have positive effects on any being. Like you could chant this Bhagavad Gita for your kitchen garden every day, and you will find the plants are happier. Because Bhagavan is speaking. So with that understanding, that was called Shraddha, you have to listen. Because then only, through that attitude, will the knowledge hit home. If the attitude is, well, let me see what Bhagavan is saying. I don't know if really it is Bhagavan saying or somebody else wrote it. If you have that type of confusion, then the knowledge won't hit home. You should take out some time to reflect on the doubts you have and remove them. So Bhagavan now speaks. And what does He say? First, He gives a shock to humanity. Kutaha tva kashmalamidam. Where has this delusion come from? Why are you deluded? Like that. Arjuna might say, but Bhagavan, anybody can get confused. Anybody can get deluded. It happens. Just like anybody can get a mosquito bite. Why you let me and say, why do I have a mosquito bite? Everybody gets the mosquito bite. Now and then everybody can get confused. Suppose you say. But then, Vishame, at this most critical moment, in a moment of crisis, Arjuna, it is not that all of a sudden a war has come. For your whole life you've known these Kauravas, and you have spent years upon years thinking about war with these Kauravas. It's not that you're unprepared. All of a sudden somebody asks you to come up and speak, and then suddenly you get confused. You have been prepared and fighting wars your whole life. It's not that you didn't know a war was happening also. Now that the critical moment has come to do your duty, a duty which you have been preparing for your whole life, when the cause is true and noble, this is the wrong moment to have such fear. This is known everywhere. If there's a blackout on when Amazon warriors are playing in Guyana, first time it happens, it's fine. But if it happens a second time, this was in the news recently, if it happens a second time, well, the world will make fun and say, how can you have a blackout when you knew this was going to happen? And certainly they did not have it again. Because of the same principle. Arjuna, you know a fight is about to happen. And now you have this doubt about whether or not fighting is good, whether or not the cause is righteous. This is not the time for such delusion, Arjuna. This is Vishame is a wrong time. And where has it come from? So he's actually in every one of these statements, Bhagavan is giving a response to all the arguments Arjuna made. Then he adds now, it is unacceptable for a noble person. This type of thing you're saying, running away from battle, this is not anarya drishtam. This is not pursued by noble people. This is pursued by ignoble people. It is the quality of your thoughts are ignoble. The way that you're thinking about this thing, it's low. All your arguments which sounded noble and you wanted to be remembered for peace and you wanted to be remembered as the one who ran away from the battle even though other people couldn't see it correctly, and all that logic you gave, all of it is low and ignoble. Anadidrushta. And if you think that, oh, that's how people will look at it, but at least you'll go to Swarga for being a man of peace. Let me tell you, as Karma Paladata himself, Aswargya, as the one who's responsible for giving the fruits of action of every being, this is not the means to heaven, to Swarga, to any greater experience hereafter. You may think, but that is not true. The only way, and later on it will be told in Bhagavad Gita, that you can reach Swarga for a warrior like you is to fight and even maybe die in battle. That is your path, your duty. And a kirti karam, Arjuna. You might think that, okay, it might get, at least I'll have fame in the world. People will remember me. They will want to give me the Nobel Peace Prize if it was invented. No. They will say instead, Arjuna was a great hero until the moment of the real battle came. So from all these points of view, Arjuna, you're on the wrong path. So you have a great hero, and then suddenly, who should be prepared for war, his heart has become like a little rabbit. You know, we all know lurking in Arjuna is a divine lion, unstoppable. But who do we see in front of us? A trembling rabbit. And Bhagavan is giving him a shock. Where has this come from? And that was just the first round. In the second verse we chanted, Bhagavan, when you increase the intensity and you give a second shock, there cannot be stronger words told to a warrior like what is about to come. Klaibyam masmagama partha. Klaibyam means impotency. Arjuna, you're crying like not a man should cry, nor a woman should cry. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is saying he's not saying you're crying like a woman, because he knows women will also take insult to that. We don't cry like that, running away and escaping. That's not the type of tears a mother will have, or a father will have. Arjuna, he says, Masmat Gama, do not yield, never succumb, don't give in to such impotency, to such weakness. So it is an instruction to humanity. Never give in to weakness. Like that. You're letting this unmanly part of your personality come out now and be displayed on the battlefield. Don't let it happen, Arjuna. And then he reminds him, Partha, son of Pritha, means you are the son of such a great mother and you're going to act like this? We saw earlier that really and truly, the way nature has made it, mothers have a unique position to impart values on the next generation of women and men. And it is there in nature also. It is the lioness who brings up every lion. The lion goes and he chases some food. Sometimes he sits and he waits for food to be brought to him and all that. But the creator of the next generation of great, what you call king of the jungle, is the lioness. You are the son of such a lioness. And now you're acting like a rabbit. Na etat tvai upapadyate. This does not befit you, Arjuna. This is very unbecoming. It is totally illogical for you, of all people, to act like this. Throwing down your weapons, sitting there saying, I won't fight. Trying to be a fake messenger of peace. All of these lines are totally applicable to humanity. I heard this one time from my grandmother when I had air. I didn't know she was speaking Bhagavad Gita. She looked at me and she said just this exact line. But this is not like you. And it hit me so hard. It is a great way of parenting, to appeal to the higher and nobler qualities in your children, as opposed to punishing them and labeling them and calling them negative things like that. This is not like you. We don't make terrible children. What has come over you? To remind them of their greatness. Kshudram hridaya daurvalya. It is not just tyakto. This is the next line. Drop, give up, cast out this, what? Weakness of heart, which is kshudra. It is not just weakness of heart, Arjuna. It is mean weakness of heart. It is low weakness of heart. This mean, kind weakness, you cast it out. Drop it. And uttishta, stand up, Arjuna. Parantapa. You scorcher of enemies, When people just hear your name, they get frightened, Arjuna. And you of all people, you're scared? Like that. And what do you think this did for Arjuna? It inspired him? It reminded him? No. Arjuna sat there. What do you mean, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with me. Tears still in his eyes. So Arjuna wasn't moved immediately. The words did affect him, and we will see in a few verses what it did. But immediately, what happens to Arjuna? And this is true. When we are hit with the Arjuna disease, suppose you get hit by it. The moment comes when it will come for all of us. First aid will not work. When you get such a heart attack and the heart has become weak for its likes and dislikes, and you're about to make a mistake, a little inspirational video on YouTube, a little pat on the back, a little promise of more wealth, nothing will help you. It is down, 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 down. The fall is endless. If Arjuna runs from this battlefield, giving up the service of humanity and letting so much death and destruction reign over the world when he was in the position at the tip of the spear, if he runs, well, the suffering from that in his own heart and the guilt and the burning and the effects and the karmic effects and all that is tremendous. And the fall is imminent for him. But because he was a satsangi, he gets lifted. So what happens to somebody who, after you try and, you know this when you speak to your friends or your children, they're suffering from their me and mine and their pride and all that. You see this in movies all the time, by the way. I'm remembering one now, a Disney movie I saw. Well, a girl wins some chess matches from her little rural village, and she recognized on the international stage. And she comes back from Russia having won some challenges and getting recognition and newspaper articles and TV interview and all that. And now she don't want to do any chores. So a little power she's been caught by a little power and fame and all that. And what does her mother do? Her mother gives her one clean slap and says, wake up! You have to do your chores like you did before you went on that trip. And that caused a whole thing in the movie to happen. This is you might have seen that Disney movie. It is required when we start to suffer from this Arjuna disease. In Arjuna's case, Bhagavan has to now give him the highest knowledge of the Upanishads to remove this disease that he has. But Arjuna, before he can even get a chance to do that, Arjuna now says something. And when he's given all his arguments already, he has really nothing new to add. So what happens when you argue with that person? Well, they just go on saying the same argument again and again and again. Correct or not? So Arjuna doesn't give any new points. In Sanskrit, it's called pishta peshana. That's when you grind something that already been ground. You take white flour from wheat and you give it another grind. You beat it. You beat the dead horse. You go on and on, and some people love to do that when they feel they're right. And sometimes they use the exact same words and the exact same phrasing, and they go on. They say it again and again and again. Saints and sages said Veda Vyasa had to change some of the words because Arjuna is going to give all the same arguments again. Arjuna uvacha. What does he say? Atham ishvamaham sankhe dronam cha madhusudana ishubhi pratiyotsyami ojarhar varisudana Shri Krishna Sharanam He says, Hey Madhusudana, Hey Arisudana, Hey Madhusudana, Hey Arisudana. He's appealing to Bhagavan. Arjuna is appealing to Bhagavan, saying, you killed that Asura Madhu. You killed the enemy Ari. Right? But these Swajanam, these my people on the other side, they're not my enemy. They're my people. Bhagavan is different. You come to this universe to remove enemies and asuras, but these are not asuras. These are mine. Like that he's appealing. Katam pratiyotsyami. How am I going to fight and retaliate with them? Bhishma, Drona, Pujar, how? They are deserving of worship. And Ishubi, you want me to shoot arrows at them? If anything, I should shoot flowers at them. Pujar, how? They deserve my worship. Like that. And then he continues now for 2 more verses. Bhagavan Veda Vyasa puts him words very nicely across. You get his idea. And then the words and the slap and the shock he got from Arjuna and the inspiration from Lord Krishna, the inspirational words, I feel convinced him to intellectually surrender to Bhagavan and seek truly now what is the best thing. But we see how that process goes on. If Arjuna didn't make that step as he's going to make in the next class, the Gita wouldn't have happened and his evolution wouldn't have happened. So that we'll have to see next week. If you do not have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, I encourage everybody to pick up a copy. And there is circulating throughout Guyana this wonderful, most world-renowned red copy of the Gita called the Holy Gita, which has been used by many people to swear in also when going into parliament. It is got a commentary like you will not find. It is appreciated by real scholars and men of action and thinkers and scientists, psychologists. All of them delve into this commentary by Puja Swami Chinmayanandaji. So you can pick up a copy of this here at the ashram. I think it's also available there on the west coast. If you have this green copy, that is also wonderful. This is chapter 1 and 2 in it with introduction. So there's 2 versions out there. I encourage everybody to have a copy of the Gita, read it in between. Today we have seen the first 4 verses of chapter 2. So I leave it off here, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week. We'll log off on Facebook, but you can easily join on Zoom, where we have some discussion after if there are any questions. Just message for the link and we share it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Oh, special announcement. Tomorrow at the ashram here in Monarpo, for young adults and young professionals, 17 and above, we have a bhajan jam and Hollywood movie Vedantic discussion. Starts at 5:30 here at the ashram. So come out. December holidays are here. Everybody's in a enjoyment mood. Come out to the ashram. We'll watch a Hollywood movie. We'll analyze it for the values that we find in it. Sing bhajans and have dinner also. So please tell all youth and young professionals to come out. They'll meet like-minded youth and make connections and discuss wonderful topics. The youth can engage with their intellect and get their questions answered in a youth forum. So that's happening at the ashram from 5:30 tomorrow. Details are there on Facebook. You can please message if you're coming so we make enough dinner for everyone. All right. Hari Om.